I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-host with Harrison Bader like hair.
Yeah, it's a weird ordeal. Katie is just proving to be childish.
Which is why I don't feel I would give $5 million to Jack Campbell.
I don't know. Baseball is one of those sports where anyone who makes the playoffs really can be a contender.
I think the Padres definitely do it.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell gets traded.
Kyrie Irving does have the track record of not being a great locker room fit, or even good locker room fit.
Bader got some luscious locks. I gotta say it.
This is Zach Bigley, the broadcaster for the Frisco Rough Riders, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin. You guys better subscribe.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL opinions, but also this applies to sports. The question merely comes from the NFL because the Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon did some research into the concept of momentum. It's a big media word, I would say, but the man that I will ask the question: do you believe in momentum, Austin?
This is how I need you to clarify this first. Are we saying momentum in a game? So a game's momentum back and forth, or are we talking season momentum? Because those are two different things. If you get a hot streak, that's momentum during the year. Or are we talking in-game momentum? Because one of those I think is real, while one of those I do not believe is real.
I don't know if I'd say a season is momentum. I would say there is the feeling of momentum in a game, and I believe that's real. A lot of people don't seem to believe it, and I don't understand how you can say there's not that feeling of momentum in a game.
I don't believe in momentum in a game, Kevin, and I'll
Really?
explain why so you can understand it a little bit. People just make, or if we're talking about basketball, you can make or miss a shot, not because of momentum, just make or miss a shot. People shoot 50%. So at some point, just by math, someone's going to go on a 10-0 run. That's not momentum. That's why the other team comes back. It's not momentum during that 10-0 run. You're not playing better than you have the entire season during this 10-point swing. You're going to have runs like that. It happens to every team in every sport where they'll get a lot of yards on one play or a couple plays, score on 3 straight drives. I don't think that's necessarily momentum. It's just stuff's working out for you. You're planning better. You're playing better. It's not momentum, in my opinion. I think confidence is real. If you start playing better, you get more confident. If you make a good play, you're more confident. But I don't think you necessarily because when you're saying momentum, you mean that it's affecting both sides. Because if one team has all the momentum, that means the other team has no momentum. And that's where I believe it's false. I can believe that someone gets confident after they make a good play. Sure. And someone will say, oh, so you believe in momentum? No. You can get more confident and make more plays because you're confident, but the defense doesn't just, oh, I suck now, I'm going to play bad. That's not necessarily how that works. You can get confident after a couple of plays, but that defense is still going to call good plays, still going to try to make plays at their best, and they're still confident in their beliefs they're in the NFL or in the NBA or in the NHL or whatever. So I don't necessarily believe in momentum because I don't think it actually affects the team on the losing side. I don't think that's how that works. I don't think, especially in professional sports, unless you're an extremely weak-minded team. Again, if the Falcons really had all the momentum up 28-3, then the Patriots would have had no chance coming back. I don't think the Falcons were completely out of that game when the Patriots started to come back, or they wouldn't have almost drove down the field and kicked a field goal to win that game. I don't know. There was big plays that happened on both sides in every game. And if it's one side of the entire game, that wasn't momentum. The other team's just better. So I do believe in momentum, though, on a season wide. If we look at why coaches get fired, going 0-4 to start a year, 0-5, that your team morale is horrible. Kevin, I know you've watched the first couple episodes of Receiver. It kind of affects Devontae when they're starting to lose games at the beginning of the year. So that stuff can affect your play. And I think it affects Devontae's play. I think he's playing bad. And I think it's also because of the way he's talking about his team, where he's talking poorly, it affects how his team's playing. So I do think over a season-wide scope, teams do start to be affected by momentum. You win a couple games in a row. Okay, we're good. We got this. We're gonna do these different plays, and it can affect you momentum wise. But if we're talking game to game, no, I think it would have to be a season long thing for me to count it as momentum. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll address the in-game momentum, which I'm a believer of. The out of game, like in the season, I don't know if I'd qualify it as momentum. It's just that atmosphere, the morale, as you mentioned. It's like, okay, we're feeling confident.
So wait. What's the difference between because you're talking about feeling momentum in a game? People talk about that. I don't necessarily feel that. When I'm playing in a sport, I'm either playing good or playing bad. It's not momentum. It's my fault either way. It's not because there's this overarching momentum that is stopping me from playing well. And people say that, oh, this team started to play bad because the momentum was all against them. No, that's not necessarily how that worked. I don't necessarily believe in that.
I would say in a game, there are moments like we talk about if you're going for it on fourth down. I would say you can grab the momentum. That's how I view it. And it's an accumulation of things. I would say it's an accumulation of confidence. It's like you're going down for that fourth down conversion. It's an opportunity. And that's why I kind of view of moments in a game of here's a moment where things changed and where I don't know if you can qualify it in the moment or you can identify those moments where like this is a big moment in this game.
But that doesn't classify momentum to me.
I think at the end of the game, you can be like, this is where I see where the momentum shifted. To me, it's throughout the entire game.
Here's my problem. Again, you're never going to see the momentum shift if there's not a touchdown or a big play, right? And that means that momentum doesn't exist. That's proving that momentum doesn't exist. Because if momentum exists, it has to be something that is fluctuating throughout the game, right? Because momentum is something where you're starting to build momentum or whatever. But a lot of those momentum plays are like moments, like you said, those don't really, I don't think those really affect the game in a mental state. Yes, they scored a touchdown. That doesn't mean the other team's not going to go try to score a touchdown. Let me put it this way. We're talking about momentum. Pick sixes are huge momentum swings. Sure. Tom Brady again threw a pick six to go down 14. There was many people online that said the game was over. Because a pick six to a lot of people is a momentum ender. Like, okay, they have all the momentum now. I don't think that necessarily the momentum shifted. I don't think that the Falcons had momentum. I don't really see that as something that is the Patriots. What happened is the Patriots played bad and then played good. I don't think it was momentum changing. Or let me put it this way: how do you ever change momentum? If momentum is so this overpowering thing where it is affecting the score and affecting plays, how do you ever reverse it? Because when people talk about momentum, it's like this godlike shift in how. Think about it like this: overalls in teams, right? People get higher overalls. Their entire team gets a higher overall because they have momentum. I just don't believe in that. I don't think that's necessarily how a game works.
So I will say I don't think momentum is most often, I think that's a word. Most often, I think that's a better way to say it, can be noticed in big, like a pick six you were talking about. I think momentum can shift on a third down conversion with a 1 yard run. Or there can be a play where I'm like, okay, if it's a big catch by a wide receiver, big block, or a big defensive
Let me sorry to interrupt, but I have to bring up a point here. And the point I'm going to bring up is another Brady example because I think he has the best, but this is a different Super Bowl. The Seattle Super Bowl. The Seattle Super Bowl, if you remember, the Seattle could not drive all that much and then threw one of the craziest catches. I think the craziest catch. If we're talking about chance to catch the ball, there's no way Kearse got that ball. Like, how did Jermaine Kearse catch that ball? Right? You remember it jumped up in the air. The corner, Kevin, jumps over the ball. The ball jumps up in the air, and the corner jumps over it. Just kick it out of bounds. Just run into the ball out of bounds. I don't know how he didn't catch it. I mean, the corner, let alone the receiver. That is a crazy momentum play. Again, people are talking about how the game is over. They're close to score a touchdown. If this is Madden, the guy now has X Factor or whatever that is in Madden, right? And they're going to win the game. That's not how the sport works. That's not how games work. If momentum existed, getting a 30 or 40-yard reception up to the 5-yard line with 40 seconds left to win the Super Bowl, how can you have more momentum? How could you possibly have more momentum? You can't. You can't. You can't. And somehow the Patriots still make a stop.
I would say I view that as momentum. They have the momentum, and then you have it. You can beat momentum, or you can take the momentum back. I would say Malcolm Butler took the momentum back.
You can't take the momentum back if the game ends.
The game didn't end. It's just
they need the ball the next 3 plays. If the game ended, when he caught the pick, they need the ball the next 2 plays. The game is over.
Yes. Wait. What topic of momentum are we talking about? The curse momentum, or are you talking about the Malcolm Butler?
Malcolm Butler. The next 2 plays, they need the ball. There's no momentum there. The game is over.
But you would say the momentum is with Jalen Curse. And when I view momentum, it is when you can, as an outsider, you see like the players don't believe that they can win the game versus the players on the other side feel like they are going to win the game.
That's just confidence. You literally just described confidence.
Yeah,
that's not momentum, Kevin.
No, I am saying momentum is a combination of confidence, just the air and feeling.
I'm going to bring up another Brady
win.
example in the Super Bowl. Now I'm going back to the Falcons. Okay, we're talking about thinking they can win. Okay, the Falcons are up 28-3, and they cut to Mohamed Sanu and what was the last name of the guy was Gabriel. The little wide receiver.
Taylor Gabriel, right? Was it not Taylor?
It could be Taylor. I can't remember. I think
he was on the Bears at one point.
Yes, he was on the Bears at one point. I think it's Taylor Gabriel. We'll go with that. But Mohamed Sanu is like, we're up by so much, we're going to win.
It is Taylor Gabriel.
And Taylor Gabriel says, it's Tom Brady, though. Or maybe Sanu said it's Tom Brady, though. One of the two in the conversation is like, we're up by so much, we're looking good. And the other person says, but it's Tom Brady, though. They're up 28-3 when this quote is said. So the Falcons had the momentum? He just said, I don't know if we're going to win. We're up 25. No, I don't know. I have no words. There's no words that can describe. I don't know if we're going to win. We're up 25. If momentum existed, we're thinking we're going to win. And the guy's like, I don't know. We're up 25 against Brady. That's not enough. I don't know. I don't know if momentum really exists. It's just, again, greatness is shown in moments where they're just great. Where they're just make a great play. It doesn't mean that they're more confident. It doesn't mean that they're whatever. They're just better in the play. That's a better play call, a better play by a player. I don't see momentum affecting the mentality. There's no way Malcolm Butler thought the game was over. You said that the teams think that they had no chance of winning. That's something you said.
Yeah.
There's no way Malcolm Butler, before the play, thought the game's over. Because if he thought the game's over, why even play? There's no way professional athletes think that way, Kevin. This isn't rec basketball. There's no way they're like at some point, you know what? I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. There's no way they think about it like that. And
I think that thought crosses their mind. But as a player, and most often pro athletes are just like, no, I can't think that way. But I do think when you're getting pummeled by a team, you're like,
if you're down 40, sure. You're like,
you can even feel it if you're
game.
down 14.
No.
What about the Niners versus the Lions in the NFC Championship game when the Lions were up 3 scores?
Do you think the 49ers thought they wouldn't win? You can't Kevin, I don't think you understand the mentality around sports. Again,
I understand the mentality because I played sports. It's just I have been in the moment where I'm like, I don't feel
Kevin,
like we can come back. We do come back.
We think differently then. There's never been a moment. If we're talking outside down 8-0 in hockey with 1 second left, like the obvious, like there's actually no chance. Like there's not enough time on the scoreboard. There's 2 seconds left and we're down 5. So yes, sure. In those moments, I'm like, I can't win. But we're down 3 in hockey going into the third period. You know what? We can win this game. We can win this game. My thought is we can win this game. My dad has my favorite quote my dad always tells me. losers think about winners. Winners think about winning. And that's my mindset. I'm always thinking about, we're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. I don't care how much we're down. When I'm playing video games, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to win this game. You know what? I'm going to win this game. And those games I lose, I lose a lot of games, Kevin. I've lost to you in multiple games.
Yes.
But there's never a moment, again, with outside of the down 6 in FIFA with 2 seconds left, or in the 93rd minute, that I'm going to win this game. I'm going to win this game. There's never a moment where I suck. We're going to lose. We're down 2 in the 3rd period. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have those moments. It's a full-fledged confidence. And I feel like that's how most NFL, most professional players think. I've gotten to this point. I'm good enough. We're good enough. Let's go. We didn't make it to the Super Bowl because we're bad. We can do this. We've done it all year. Or even if it's a normal game, we're NFL players. I know how to win a football game. I've done that before. That's how they're thinking. And I don't think that necessarily momentum affects that. Or if momentum even exists, especially in a game-to-game setting. I understand what you're saying, but I think that's almost entirely fan creation. Because again, we see it in Madden or in NCAA football, you played it, where the stadium loudness is max, and you can't see your plays, and you're playing against the number 1 team in the country, and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to get a first down, I give up. But that's not how it is IRL. I've seen those moments IRL where the crowd is so loud, so deafening, and then the team who is on offense trying to get them offsides or a 12 start, trying to get all this, and then they throw a 75-yard touchdown. It's like, oh well, I guess the fans didn't affect that one. So I get what you're saying. I do. You're not the only person who's made this argument. It's not you alone. I'm sure there's people who watch this video who do agree with you, but I don't see momentum existing in a game setting. I just don't think it really exists.
Yeah, to me, I always see it. Like, there have been moments where I'm like, there's no way we win. And then we end up winning the game. And then that's in the future. I'm like, okay, we can win the game. It's just believing in it. But to me, just momentum is an energy that is created by the players through moments. To me, it's also coaching. That's where the importance of coaching is. It's the coach saying, when guys are just like, they came out, it's not how I'm thinking it's not how I thought it would go. And the coach is like, guys, relax, just get into the moment and take the next moment. Like hockey, I've heard a hockey writer talks about when it's just the next shift, when they're trying to come back. It's not focusing on the bigger picture, like you were talking about with the 3-0. It's just focusing on, let's just go win this. And I'm sure it starts with small goals. But to me, I just believe in momentum, and I view it, and I always think there are moments in the game where it shifts. And it can always be, you can think a team has momentum, and then it gets taken back. But it's hard to say. It's hard to pinpoint the exact moment where I think the game shifted. And you have to look back on it. Like, I'll mark down, like, this is a big moment. It's a 4th down conversion or something like that. So to me, that's how I view momentum. And I guess going by that, I do believe it is in the season. It's that energy you're feeling when you're in the locker room. If you're on a 5-game win streak, that you're like, nothing can stop us right now. And that's a belief created through just getting through plays.
I can agree with the season-wide one, because I do think confidence builds through wins. Winning a game is, I think, one of the best things to feel in sports. So I think that can definitely motivate you moving forward. You get more trust in your teammates. And I think that's really the difference, is you have more trust in your teammates. But I don't see it in a game-to-game setting.
My argument, I see what you're saying. Like, I would just say you see it in the season, and a game is just, I could say, how do you can take something big. Couldn't you boil it down and be like, there is momentum? Like, there's momentum in a season.
No, because at that point, why couldn't you do it doesn't affect the games. It just affects how your team views itself. I don't think it affects how your team plays in the moment. But in a bigger picture, like the Devontae Adams, in the game, I don't think or while he's running a route, I don't think he's like, my team sucks, we're going to lose. It's just afterwards that he's like, we need to change. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this. And then the other guys are like, you know what? I don't like that either. I don't like that. I don't like that either. I don't trust my coach. I don't like this. So I'm just going to not play as hard, or I'm going to run a different route. I'm going to do my own thing. That doesn't really usually happen unless it's Antonio Brown running off the field with the Bucs mid-game. It doesn't just snap one plays when I'm going to start giving up on my head coach. It's usually, hey, we lost. I hate losing. And why do we keep losing? Okay, it's obviously the coach's fault, so I'm going to do my own thing. And that's where I think momentum over a season can happen, is distrust or a lot of extra trust. You get a new head coach, you win a lot of games. That's why I think a lot of interim coaches make the playoffs. Hey, we got a new head coach, clean slate. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter. We're going to be good now. We're going to be great. We got a new head coach. He's going to lead us the way. But I don't think mid-game is when they give up on their head coach or when they realize that this is a new situation. That stuff always happens outside of the games that can affect the games outside of it. You know, before, hey, we got a new head coach or we fired our head coach or whatever. But I don't think mid-game, in between plays, I don't think third down mentally affects fourth down. I don't think that's it can affect the play call, but it's not going to affect how a person plays in that play.
That's where we're just going to be running around circles. But I will say I disagree with you on that, because I can view where a player's like, this game isn't winnable. I'm going to give it my best, but I don't think that we're going to come out. You can't.
Once you say the game is over or it's not winnable, you've given up, and you're not giving it your all.
That's
you can't give it your all. I don't think you can give it your all if you think the game's over.
Well, yeah, you don't give it your all, but you think you're
okay. Then you've given up, and that's in my case where I don't think momentum exists, because there's no way you give up and then win. That never happens.
Well,
if you like, let's just boil it down to fighting.
Player. That can be one player. Let's say it's the wide receiver.
There was a study. I will send you the study after we record, if I can find it, because I saw someone bring it up. But people talk about how the worst defenders, like the worst corner, is more impactful on a unit than the best corner. So your worst corner decides, I give up, and now it makes your defense even worse. How do you come back when your defense is even worse now because your worst corner is giving up? It's the same thing with offensive linemen. Offensive line, your worst offensive lineman is more impactful than your best offensive lineman, which makes sense. Again, if you have one guy who is just horrible, they're going to send as many people as possible through that lane, right? And if that guy gives up, I'm not going to block. Your O-line is cooked. It's over. You're not going to be able to block anybody, let alone run or pass the ball. And again, how do you win at that point? You can't. You can't win a game without an offensive line. Well, 4 of them are trying. Well, 1 of them isn't. And that one who isn't, the game's over. Because like I said, there was a study, again, those teams with bad offensive lines or that give up a lot of pass rushes or don't get many runs, it's not because the top 4 guys are bad. It's because they have one hole that is just horrible. And that affects the line even more. And so I don't see how a team can come back in this case of momentum. Because, again, if someone gives up, it's over for that team, almost certainly. If LeBron were to give up on a game, it's over. It's over. The game's over.
I think that's what separates just regular players versus the greatest. Because let's say it's a corner on the Chiefs, and then Patrick Mahomes makes a great play. Then they're like, oh, wait, this can happen. To me, it takes someone else, because I don't think everyone is always like.
So you're saying that there are players immune to momentum.
And that's who I view. Or there are players that take that momentum.
How do you
create that moment? That's why they're the greatest players.
I don't know, man. Because how do you differentiate how momentum affects a play versus the... Let me put it this way. You shoot shots in your backyard, okay? I'm just going to tell you this is a hypothetical story, and you'll answer at the end. You're shooting shots in your backyard. You make some of them, you miss some of them. I don't think momentum affects that. And the reason why I bring that up is because in a game, how can you decide, hey, this shot he missed, because they didn't have the momentum. Where if you put it just in a blank slate, he could have missed that in his backyard. He could have just missed that shot in practice. Now, that wasn't momentum that missed him that shot. It was, I'm bad from that spot. You know what? It was, we were down 3. They just got a big run against us. We were down 3, and I needed to make the shot. But that wasn't because I didn't think I was going to make it. It wasn't because of their momentum or their crowd. It's just, I need to practice more on that shot. Like, it's not based on anything outside of just myself at that point. That's why it seems like when people blame momentum for the reason why one team loses is you take away the blame from the player. You take away the blame from the team. You take it as, oh, they got all the momentum and then you couldn't make a shot because they had all the momentum. No, I just have to be better at making that shot. It's not really based on if the other team had a 10-0 run. I just have to shoot. Again, I missed that shot in practice yesterday. And there's no momentum in practice, so I just have to get better.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The thing I will push back on is, or the idea, I don't know, this you talking just brought it up to me. Momentum is not like the puppet master pulling the strings. To me, momentum, a lot of it is confidence, but I think there's other part. It's just the atmosphere and that view in the game. And I believe players create the momentum and it can be taken back. It's kind of a struggle along with the game of just like, who is like,
isn't
knowing.
it just a score then? I'm
Well,
really
it
lost.
is
I
shown
don't
in
know
the
what you're.
score.
I don't get what. Okay, then I don't know what you're
It's
talking
not
about at
the
this
score.
point.
It's hard to quantify in words. That's why I think that's why some people believe it doesn't exist and some people do believe it exists. I would say momentum is when someone's winning, they feel like they have the momentum, but it can shift once the other team starts playing well, or so it's shown in the score, but it's also shown in the attitudes of the players. And you can see it in the game. You can see it in the season.
I don't know. There's something I like you said, we're gonna be going in circles. I don't see it. I don't. Again, I just feel like if I'm playing in a 5s game with you, Kevin. Let me put it this way. I'll go IRL story. We're playing 3s, right? And
Yeah.
I am struggling against guys who are better than us, right? And they start to score and they start winning games. Sure. Then we play 2s and I start hitting a lot of shots. I didn't hit shots because I was getting momentum. That's not how I thought about it in my head. I'm like, I'm going to make this shot and I miss. I want to make this shot. I miss. I want to make this shot. I miss. Man, I got to start making shots. That's my thought process. And then I start hitting shots and it's not like I got momentum. It's I'm hitting shots now. So I'm more confident in me hitting shots. So I keep shooting them from the one spot that I kept shooting them from. Why? Not because I had momentum, because I knew I could make it from one spot on the court.
I would say you had I would say I'll take it to a different route. Your team had momentum when the kid, I'll call him a kid. Yeah, he was a kid. He was out of high school. Took one. I tried guarding him, and I would say I'm a good defender. Took one step, and next thing I know, he's at the rim. I would say that is when your team had momentum, because I feel like, oh shoot, I'm not going to be able to guard this guy as well as I thought. And I'm sure other guys were like, man, what do we have to do to beat that guy and that team? I would say there was momentum. It's not, I feel momentum is bigger on the pro level, but it's just smaller because it's just like a rec game. So that's my view of momentum. And I'm surprised we disagreed. I thought we'd be in agreement.
I thought we would disagree because I know that I think you have belief in stuff that is outside of the player's hands, I guess, a little bit.
Well, it's in the player's hands. Like it's not like momentum decides the game. It's players make plays and then behind that create momentum.
Again, is that not just yards or
Well,
a layup?
that
I just don't get what the difference is between that and, again, if a team's up 15 and then the other team goes on a 10-0 run, they cut into the lead. But you would say that they have the momentum. I don't know. They just scored 10 straight points. Sure, they're playing better, yes. But no, no, it's momentum. No, they just scored. No, that's momentum. No, he just hit a 3. That's not how I think about it. It's not how I am I'm thinking about the game.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's where we disagree. I just want to make sure it's the players create their own momentum, and it's can be shown in the score, but it's also an attitude. And I just want to clarify, it is not like God, or if you don't believe in that, some other force deciding the game. It's a byproduct of players making plays, or bad momentum is when a byproduct of players not making plays. So
Just sounds like yards and turnovers to me.
well,
all it
that's
sounds like.
one way you can describe it, but to me, it's hard to boil it down to one thing. It's can be seen in yards, but it's also the attitudes, also the feeling in those players and what it's causing to the other team.
Again, I don't really get it, but
Huh.
well, we
That's
have
why
to
you
end the
don't
video
believe
at
in it.
some point.
Yeah, that's
What?
why you don't believe in it.
That's fair.
Yeah, so that's all we got. Thank you for listening, and let us know your thoughts in the comments.